Hey, middle-aged gamers, welcome back. Today I am in green, even though my partner was like, this color looks horrible, but I don't know why I'm wearing it today. Lots going on. As you know, Stellar Blade is coming up soon for PC. And if you watched Adam's videos last year and he's streaming as well, you should be well aware of it. You should be excited to play it if you're a PC gamer like I am. It is not on my schedule to play, but Adam's going to tell us a little bit more about it. Today, we're also going to talk about Persona, and we're going to talk about one other story that Adam told me that I forgot, which is what, Adam?
Bungie.
Bungie, of course, Bungie. I should not have forgotten about that. Like, that's another story that you should be well aware of. Adam brought that to light online this week. On my side, I'm going to be talking about Dead Island 2, which was a really amazing free game that you should have got this past week on in the Epic Game Store. I almost said Steam. We're going to talk about Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, the upgrade on the Switch 2, and the last story I'm going to talk about is a new and trending game called Slowmancer on PC that is just rising up the charts. But tell us, Stellar Blade 2, what do we know now that is getting closer to...
Who is the personal guard of Oracle. So, yeah, and then you're going to unlock one of these new 25 outfits, you're going to have to defeat him. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge there. This is all for the complete edition on the PC. PC is getting complete edition, but they wanted to make sure that PS5 players are not left out. So if you already have the game on PS5, then you will be receiving this update for free. So you're getting all those new outfits and the new fight and everything. So they're also, at the same time, on the PS5, they're going to be releasing the Goddess of Victory Nikki DLC. It's going to come automatically with the PC version. So the PC version is the complete edition that's going to be coming with the original Nier DLC and this Goddess of Nikki DLC. With this DLC, we're going to be getting quite a few things. There's going to be a shooting range mini game that you can play. There's going to be some new. There's 6 collectibles that you can collect by fishing. So you can get back into fishing. There's going to be a shop run by Volt, who is a robotic dog, I'm guessing from Nikkei, or Nikki. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. But he's going to have a shop, and in that shop, you're going to be able to buy outfits, items, and cosmetics. And we are also getting another boss fight in the boss rush mode. We're getting Scarlet, who is from Goddess of Victory, Aniki. And if you defeat her, you're going to be getting a new outfit and a new hairstyle as well. So, we got a lot of new stuff to look forward to. If you are on PS5, you will not be getting that DLC for free. You're going to have to pay for that DLC, but the original 25 new outfits and the man thing you will be getting for free. So, stuff for everyone there. Now, they're also getting some new language support. So, they're adding Japanese and Chinese for spoken languages, and they're adding lip syncing for both of those. So the total languages that that it's going to be offered in is Korean, English, French, Italian, Spanish, Spanish as in Latin American Spanish, Portuguese as in Brazil, but not Portuguese as in Portugal. And then it says Chinese Simplified, which I guess Chinese Simplified is the written language, but they listed it as the spoken language as well. There is traditional Chinese as the written language, but it doesn't get a traditional Chinese spoken language, which I don't know. That's kind of funny to me. But and then finally Japanese. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 languages that you're going to be able to listen to Stellar Blade in. So you can listen to the voices in any of those that you wish. And Shift Up has stated that this is going to be, they're going to support mods. It says mods are fully supported without restrictions. So I guess we can predict where some of those are going to be. But yeah, so you're going to be able to fully mod out your Stellar Blade experience on PC, and Shift Up is entirely there for it. Now, there is some bad news. First of all, the game is currently unavailable in about 130 countries. So I think it's a total of 132, give or take. But these are largely games without PSN support. And that was a bit of a surprise to Shift Up. They said that they were very confused by this. They didn't really understand it. They said that the PSN connection is optional. You do not have to link your PSN account if you don't want to. If you do, you will be unlocking a new outfit. There is an outfit that you can get, or what they call them, nano suits. You can get a nano suit if you do link your PSN account. However, it's completely optional. You don't have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to have a PSN account to play. Yeah, it's also strange because it says that there's roughly 130 countries where it's not available, whereas Helldivers, when it was delisted was delisted in 177 countries. So some of those countries that Helldivers was delisted in do still seem to get access to Stellar Blade. So it is a little bit weird. So we're not quite sure why. Shift Up says that they are working with the publisher, who is Sony, so it may be related to that PSN issue. One thing that I saw somebody speculating it might be is because this outfit is available when you link it to a PSN account. That means that it's probably already in the game, and so in these regions, it could be there could be an issue where it's just kind of how do you being there but not being accessible, and maybe it's already unlocked or there's an error or something like that. So they were saying that might be part of it. Obviously it could be that they just don't want the hassle of having the game be some sort of issue there where they're like, okay, you play the game, and if there's some sort of overlap between, okay, the Steam is there but then the PSN isn't there. We don't know why that it's not available. Shift Up doesn't know why it's not available. Sony hasn't made a comment on why it's not available, so we don't know. Another possibility could be gray market. So apparently one of the problems is that with Steam you have obviously different marketplaces. That's why Steam is region locked, because in certain markets it's usually kind of the prices are adjusted, not necessarily, there's not a direct translation of the price. It's adjusted for the local market. So in markets where maybe the economy is or the money value is lower, the actual price of the game is lower. But then sometimes what people will do is they will buy keys on those markets, and then they'll sell those keys on higher markets. So that might be an issue as to why they're not doing that. Maybe some of these markets that coincidentally don't have PSN is because of PlayStation not wanting people to have accounts and for these lower regions and then buying money for that. So we don't know, but it does seem to be on Sony's side. But Shift Up says they are working on trying to get it out, so we're gonna be working on that. But that is not the only bad news. A lot of people are also very disappointed because this will be supporting Denuvo, or it will have Denuvo, and Shift Up is very on board with that. They even came out and they put a post up there, and they said, as shown in the test chart, as shown in the test chart below, the DRM has been hard tuned to maintain the same average frame rate with even higher minimum frames in some cases. So they did post up a chart, and they said this is what it looks like when it runs with DRM. This is what it looks like when it runs without DRM. The average frame rate was the same. The maximum was like maybe couple frames lower, maybe 3 or 4 frames lower, but they said, hey, it's basically the same thing, the average is the same, so it's working really, really well, so don't worry about it. It wasn't, so a lot of people are not happy with this, but I've seen a lot of comments online where people are saying that this does seem to be the trend with Asian developers, especially Chinese or Korean developers, that they do put up a lot of they do use a lot of Denuvo because there is rampant piracy in those countries, and so as a way to curb that, that's seen as the norm. So if you're not thrilled about that, then sorry, doesn't look like there's going to be too much of a change there. But anyway, I played Stellar Blade. I absolutely loved it. I would highly recommend it to everyone to at least try. Obviously not every game is going to be for everyone. It's going to bounce off some people, but I absolutely loved it, and I definitely think that more people should play it. So I'm very excited that it's coming to PC, and hopefully we'll be able to get those regions on board, so that way even more people can play, because it is a fantastic game. So
do you think you're gonna have time to play or check out the new outfits on PlayStation at some point?
Absolutely. I mean, really all it is it's just log in, go to one of the in-game stores, or it said go. No, that was the Infinity Nikki thing, not Infinity Nikki. Sorry, I always confuse Infinity Nikki and Goddess of Victory Nikki. So Yeah, no, it's basically probably I'll go to the store. It'll probably be like Roxanne, one of the characters in the game will sell it, or I'm trying to remember the other guy, the other store. You know, he'll probably sell, it's not Lyle. But you know, they'll probably sell it. You just go to one of the stores, you buy most of them. Other ones are going to be, you know, like there's going to be, like I said, there's going to be one that's unlocked by defeating man. So that's basically just one boss fight, you know. So I just have to play that, you know, maybe a couple hours or so. I'll be able to figure out how to beat him, you know. So it's, like I said, it's not a huge. There's no story updates or anything like that. So it's just one fight, and you know, unlock a bunch of outfits. And I probably will play. Well, I definitely will buy the Goddess of Victory Nikki DLC. I'll definitely be buying that, and I'll be playing through that. But again, that is one boss fight, some fishing, so I can just go to, you know, Oasis and do some fishing for an hour, and hopefully I'll get this. RNG will grant me the 6 DLC or the 6 items that I need from that, and then go to the store with the little robot dog, and then buy the other ones. So you know, I when the Nier Automata DLC came out, I played that and I finished it in I think a day, maybe it was 2 days, you know, I don't remember, but real quick, you know, just boom and done. So I'll definitely be doing it, but it probably won't take very long. So
Okay, sounds good. On that note, so if you're still on the fence about the Switch 2, today we found out, or not today, this past week we found a little bit, I guess, a lot more details about some of the visual upgrades, which is upgrades that some of the games are going to be getting. So you can find this out on the Nintendo Switch 2 site. It's pretty useful. Again, I think a lot of these visual upgrades are not going to sway most people. You're not like, oh my God, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is getting this upgrade, therefore I have to buy it. But I mean, for somebody like me who played Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and was probably the only Zelda game that I actually liked, because I did not like Breath of the Wild. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom was definitely more of a very confined experience. There was less exploring or running around. There was like less of a walking simulator, which is why I loved the game. So if you don't remember, because I feel like I did do a Zelda Echoes of Wisdom video at one point, it's basically you take on the role of Princess Zelda. She has the ability to create echoes of objects and environments, solving puzzles and battling enemies to save the kingdom, right? So an echo is basically like you kill an enemy and you can make a copy of this enemy and that will fight for you, right? So at every different encounter in the game, you're like, okay, I can use this thing that shoots fireballs, or this bat that can fly and attack enemies in the water, or this thing in the water that can I remember I killed a shark at one point, and then I can now summon sharks in the water, and that shark does a lot of damage. So it's such a varied game. I'm not a puzzle person either, but it's just like there are so many different ways to do something. It is such a highly replayable game that I loved it. So if you're a fan of this game, or even Link's Awakening, I guess is the other one, very similar in style in terms of the way it looks. The upgrade it is getting is a significantly higher resolution. So we know the upgrade is going to be 4K 60 frames per second, right? When you're docked, 1080p as well. So that's going to make it look really nice. It already looked pretty good playing at 1080p when the original Switch was docked anyway. So sharper images, more detailed textures. We're going to get an improved frame rate as well. And again, with the first-party Nintendo titles, you've heard me say this before on the show, that I've never had a first-party Nintendo title ever drop in terms of frames, or something that's actually noticeable where I'm like, oh my God, why is this game slowing down? Or why is there screen tearing or image tearing, whatever you want to call it. Enhanced gameplay fluidity, especially during combat and exploration, faster loading times, that would be nice. Because I will say, in Echoes of Wisdom and other first-party Nintendo games that I did try, like there are times where it's a good 10 to 15 second load times on some of the games. So that will help sometimes. I know like Antoine complained about Starfield's loading times, which I had no problem with. But on the Switch, I never really noticed the loading times for some reason, the original Switch anyway. So of course as well, the new Switch 2 is going to allow, better lighting, better shadows, particle effects, larger draw distance as well. I think it's going to be nice because again, I think this won't matter so much for Echoes of Wisdom because it is like a top-down look at the game. But for games like Breath of the Wild, where you can now see things further in the distance, which is going to be really, really nice. So they, on the Switch 2 site, right, they're basically like, here are these 5 games, first-party Nintendo games. This is what we're going to do with them. Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker is another game that I just sort of recalled at the moment. None of the upgrades are like supreme, like, oh my god, this is going to blow my mind away. All these upgrades are free. They're not like the paid upgrades, so that's kind of cool. So it could be a reason for you to buy a Switch 2 if you, maybe like me, I didn't have a chance to finish, Echoes of Wisdom, and I'd like to finish it. On my list of things to finish. Whether I finish it at some point in the future is another story, but we'll see. So has this swayed your decision? Like, are you still going to buy a Switch 2 despite the whole physical cartridge debacle? Nintendo came out and explained that this week, but that's not part of this video. Comment down below if you are buying a Switch 2, if you've already succeeded in pre-ordering one, and let us know.
Sounds good. Yeah, I might hold off on a Switch 2 for a while. So
it makes sense. No, I mean, like, now that this PC is working, I'm like slowly thinking like, do I want to spend money on a Switch 2, or do I want to get a better processor now that I have a nice working PC that's not gonna give me issues? So I don't know. We'll see come the end of the year. Yeah. All right, Adam, tell us about Persona.
Yeah, so we're recently, well, I guess not recently, but Persona 2, what was I saying, Persona 2? No, of course not. Persona 5 Phantom X is getting its PC release, and it's coming to mobile as well, but this is a Western release and a Japanese release. So previously the game was only in China, and it only had Chinese language support, but they are adding Japanese and they are adding English to it. So you're going to be able to play Phantom X. Now, this game is going to be completely free. It's going to be on iOS, Android, and PC, and it will support cross progression. So you can, when you're on the bus, you can play it on your phone, and then when you go home, you can go back and play it on your PC with the nice, better graphics and bigger screen and whatnot. Now, this is a live service game, though, so it is not finished. So you're going to be playing it, and then, you're probably going to beat everything, and if you want, you could just kind of go around, level up, unlock some new stuff, or just, give it a break, and then later on in a month or two, there's going to be more story content, so you're going to go ahead, maybe do a new palace or something like that. And they said that they will be keeping parity between everything. So it looks like we're going to get up to where it is in China currently, and it looks like they're going to be keeping pace with the Chinese releases as well. There are some differences from the original Persona. The original Persona 5. For instance, there are some new mini games. They in the trailer they showed there's like this Guitar Hero style mini game, where they're having little things that come down and you have to hit the buttons in the right time and whatnot. They mentioned that there's a soccer kind of mini game. They mentioned that there's part-time jobs you can do. So in that sense, it's a little bit similar to Persona 5, where you have all these extra activities. It just looks like some of these activities are new and different from the ones that we had in Persona 5. You also have a new set of Phantom Thieves. These group of individuals are not the original Phantom Thieves. They're an entirely new group. They go to a different school. They're all still teenagers and whatnot. But, similar kind of idea. They go into the metaverse. They're going to find a palace. They're going to find the ruler of the palace, and they're going to change their heart. And then this person is going to repent their evil ways. So if you played Persona 5, you kind of know what the gameplay loop here is going to be. It looks very similar to Persona 5 in terms of the way combat and all that's done. You're still running around, you jump on a guy, you pull his mask off, you go into combat, you can summon your personas and use them to, cast magic or whatever. The main character is going to be very similar to Joker in that he can swap between personas. So that's going to be the same. They showed they had like an hour-long kind of reveal video where they were interviewing some of the voice actors and some of the developers and whatnot in Japan. And it looks like there's maybe 4 people that are part of the main group. However, in this game, you're going to have what are called Phantom Idols. So the Phantom Idols are, you go around, you meet people in the real world, And so they have their cognitive selves in the metaverse. So when you go into the metaverse, you can, use these phantom idols as your alternative characters. You can swap them out as party members, but they're not actually the individuals themselves. If you visit this person in the real world, they're going to have no memory of your battles together or anything like that. It's just that, as you build your relationship with them, you can use kind of their, the way they see themselves in their hearts, use those people in combat. So you're going to be having them there, and their cognitive forms are going to take. It says take the forms of the people you meet in the real world, formed from when their desires were strongest. So at whatever point in their life where their desires were strongest, that is how they are going to perceive themselves in this world. One of the questions that the interviewer asked was, "Oh, okay, so if this is from when their desires are strongest." Some of these could probably get kind of embarrassing, right? Because if you're, in your 40s or something and, your desires were strongest when you were 12, your form might be a little bit embarrassing to your 40-year-old self. And they said that that's possible, but they didn't confirm that that happens or not. So, but yeah, so you're going to have that. So yeah, it's coming out again, June 26th. You can play it for free on PC. I think you can get it on Steam. iOS or Android. So if you're on mobile, you can play it there. Cross progression, so you can play it wherever. And yeah, so looking forward to that. I personally don't think I will be playing it simply because I'm not a big fan of mobile games in general. I do have a hard time with it. I mean, I did enjoy Zenless Zone Zero. And some of the gameplay is a lot of fun for me, but for me, it's really hard to keep up with that just live service, constant new content coming out, even when it comes to like comics and stuff like that or manga, I'll see a manga and I'm like, oh man, I really want to read this. This looks really, really cool. And then I find out that it's still ongoing and I'm like, no, I'm not going to read that, because I don't want to get to the end and then, wait a month and then, and then read a little bit and then wait a month. I don't like that format. So for me, I usually just wait until they're over and then I just read it all at once. So because this is a live service kind of thing and it is currently in progress, I don't think I'll be playing it. Maybe someday if they're like, okay, well, we are, this is the final content, we're not going to be doing anymore. It's over. We're still going to leave the servers up for a while, but we're not going to be adding new content. Then I might play it, but that is a ways off. So, but yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know if you try it out. Was it Persona 5 Phantom X? Let us know what you guys think in the comments.
You said a lot of stuff that totally I did not understand, but I guess that would all be Persona related terminology. Yeah, no, when it comes to mobile gaming, I'm totally with you as well. Like I'll play Marvel Snap. That is it. I don't imagine playing any more than that in the future, unless the DC Snap comes out. I would go with that, but sorry about that. It is allergies, well, I should say, because the fan is blowing directly at me. But that sounds interesting for Persona fans. And on that note, I'm going to move on to Dead Island 2. So this past week, and even still ongoing, I think it might even still be on sale. I can check about that later. Dead Island 2 was a free game offered by the Epic Store. I played the first one with Hans, and that was the first and last game we ever played. As far as zombies game goes, because he does not like zombies or horror games at all, even less than I do. Like I don't mind playing this as like a format. Like okay, fine, as a game, cool. I won't watch a movie like Train to Busan. Nope, we'll never watch that. Even though supposedly it's a fantastic movie. But so Dead Island 2 was on offer, and if you're a PC gamer or if you're somebody who has a gaming capable machine, you should have an Epic Games Store account and you should be taking advantage of these free games because some of them are really good. Dead Island 2 is really different in a sense in that, like, especially if you're a card person like me, because they have a card based skill system. So like in typical games like this, right, like an RPG-esque systems where, all right, I kill X amount of enemies, I level up. Okay, here, choose this skill point in this particular facet, damage by 2%, or health by 5%, or intelligence by 1 point, whatever system you want to go with. But in Dead Island, as you level up, you choose a card that affects your skill at this point, and it's done really well, apparently. So that each card has progressively stronger effects as you make your way towards the end of the game. So that's a real cool system. And of course, all the Dead Island games are really famous for weapons and modding and making like a baseball bat with barbed wire and like electric zapping damage when you hit a creature or something like that. There's the flesh system, which is, it basically means that basically like you can knock arms and legs off and you can see all that stuff in gory detail. As you know, that's not something I'm interested in. And of course, the cool thing about this as well is that it offers 3-person multiplayer. So of course, as you know, I have 2 other brothers. It's very rare. You get co-op games where it's 2 people. You get 4 people plus. It's very rare to get that core 3-person number when it comes to multiplayer games. I mean, speaking of that, like my brothers and I were almost done with Aliens Fireteam Elite. And that is, again, another great 3-person game that's fantastic. And we're going to move on to Dead Island 2 after it. And again, close quarters combat as well. So if you're like a person who played maybe Back 4 Blood or Left 4 Dead, and you're like, man, I hate using guns. I'm the opposite. I don't like close quarters combat, but I mean, I like playing these games multiplayers with friends. Again, different zombie types as well, the usual stuff. Beautiful environment. It is an island, so you're going to see some cool things. Open-ended exploration is really fun. I enjoyed that part. So check it out. Either if it's not on sale or not for free on the Epic Store at the moment, then I would definitely say keep it on your wish list on Steam, keep it on your wish list on the Epic Store, wherever you play this game. Well worth it, super fun. The reviews for this are really good as well. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have played this multiplayer, please comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts because I think we will start playing this in about 2 weeks or so. All right, and then I'm gonna let Adam take over because I need to blow my nose.
I played the original Dead Island. I did not play Dead Island 2. Yeah, it's kind of funny because I originally wasn't really considering playing it, but it was actually my wife's idea. She was like, because we were at the mall or something, and she saw something. Like, she's like, oh, you're gonna be playing that game? And I was like, oh, you know, I kind of saw it, you know. And she was like, oh yeah, maybe you should. And I was like, okay, fine. There's a couple games where that's happened before. This one, Armored Core 5, which I would have gotten anyway, but she saw it and she was like, oh, that game looks cool. You should play that one. And Lollipop Chainsaw. I don't know. She's like zombie stuff, I guess. So
it's just like a Taiwanese woman thing where women like crazy bloody murder stuff.
I don't know. Yeah. Lollipop Chainsaw kind of surprised me when she was like, oh yeah, you should play that one.
That would surprise me too.
Yeah. But I had fun with it.
Looks very vanilla, but I guess she's not.
No, yeah. My wife's into that sort of thing. She loves the movie, what was the movie? I can't remember the one where they're like going into their, like they're in an insane asylum and
I
Sucker
think
Punch.
I watched
Sucker Punch. Yeah, she loves that movie.
Why does that sound familiar?
Well, Sucker Punch is also the name of the developer that makes Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of 𝙃, but
yes, also that.
But they are unrelated.
Okay, I wouldn't think so. All right, tell us, what is your final story for today?
All right, so my final story for today is involving Bungie and specifically Marathon's development, which is not going well. So anyway, recently it's come out in this last week that Bungie was caught plagiarizing. So an artist, her name is Anti-Real, she posted art in 2017, and you know, it had like some logos and just it was just kind of like a general. It wasn't like specifically of anything necessarily. You know, it's just like some logos and some words and maybe some graphics and stuff like that. But anyway, Bungie, in their recent Marathon Alpha, people discovered, or at least Anti-Real discovered, that some of the assets from her art are in the game. Surprise to her. So this is not the first time that Bungie has been accused of this. So there was stolen art that was also found in a Witch Queen trailer. Somebody had done some concept art, and then in a trailer and some background, there's some pictures or something like that. And some of those were taken from fan art. In a cutscene in Lightfall, a similar thing happened. Some of the original concept art seemed to be traced from other artists, you know, so they kind of traced over it, maybe changed a few things, but if you overlaid them, you could see that they actually matched up quite closely. They did a nerf, they did something with nerf where they created a gun, the Ace of Spades, and if you look at the Ace of Spades in game, and you look at the Ace of Spades Nerf gun, they're not exactly the same. However, if somebody had created a kind of their version of the Ace of Spades, and if you looked at their concept art and you looked at the Nerf gun, they are actually still fairly different, but there were some similarities. For instance, like scratch marks, like where certain scratch marks ended up and stuff like that. So they were claiming that there was some plagiarism there, and Bungie actually ended up settling with them somehow. So it seems that they kind of admitted like, oh yeah, maybe we did a little bit. There's also accusations of plagiarism in their Red War storyline. However, I think that is still in court. So that one has not been ruled upon yet. But anyway, there are multiple cases where it seems that Bungie is just ripping ideas from artists. So Bungie's response, a lot of people were kind of unhappy with this as well. So the response said, "We immediately investigated a concern regarding unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that a former Bungie employee included these in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in game. This issue was unknown by our existing art team, and we are still reviewing how this oversight occurred. We take matters like this very seriously. We have reached out to Anti-Real to discuss this issue and are committed to do right by the artist. As a matter of policy, we do not use the work of artists without their permission. To prevent similar issues in the future, we are conducting a thorough review of our in-game assets, specifically those done by the former Bungie artist, and implementing stricter checks to document all artist contributions. We value the creativity and dedication of all artists who contribute to our games, and we are committed to doing right by them. Thank you for bringing this to our attention." So basically they said, oh yeah, that's there. Thanks for telling us. But actually, it's not somebody who works here anymore. It's somebody that left already. So, you know, can't blame us. So a lot of people were very unhappy with that response. They felt like you're just shifting the buck, right? Or passing the buck. You know, you're scapegoating this, like, oh, this former employee, they created these texture sheets. Maybe they were supposed to be in the game. Maybe they were just using them for their own self-reference. We don't know, but for whatever reason they had them, they left. We went and then we took the art that they had and we put it in the game, and we didn't know where it came from. We just thought that they had made it. So, you know, we're innocent in this. We're sorry. It was our mistake, but, you know, we weren't intentionally doing it. So, you know, so it's messy. And given the fact that this is not the first time, it makes it that much more suspicious. But to make the plot even thicker, I should just say the plot thickens, the lead artist of Marathon actually follows Anti-Real on social media. So they're like, wait, you are very familiar with this person's art. How did you're the lead artist on this thing? You follow the person who was copied. That, that's a really weird coincidence. Okay. Yeah. And even if what you say is true, you should be familiar with this person's art. You should be able to identify some of it at least, right? So how involved are you actually? It does look like, and something I've seen people commenting on online, is that when they came out and they did this press conference thing, you know, we're seeing development leads coming out. You know, we're seeing like the heads of team heads, but we're not seeing any higher level Bungie people coming out and talking about this. We're not seeing CEO. We're not seeing the CEO. We're not seeing, you know, these higher level directors. It's all kind of these mid-level people talking about it. So it's kind of like, you know, like, where's the leadership here? You know, how involved are these guys? You know, how much are people coming in and saying like, hey, do this, and then walking away, and then not over, you know, with zero oversight. And this is actually something that has come up. I guess it was Paul Tassi who did a Forbes article. He had talked to people at Bungie, and they were saying that leadership has been negligent. They said it's kind of an old boys club kind of thing. They said that multiple times the devs have warned leadership that, they're saying like this part of the game is not going to work. This part of the game is, is wrong. And they said we need a PvE component. That's what fans of our games play. We need that. And but then the game director was quoted as saying, he went online and he said, I think if you are only looking for PvE experiences, definitely Marathon is not the game for you. We are very comfortable saying, yeah, this isn't a game for everyone. This is a game for, if you like PvP experiences, especially in sandbox spaces, then this is probably something you're going to enjoy. So it looks like, the higher ups, basically somebody had the idea of, hey, this is the game that I want to make. This is a game that I would want to play. And so make this game, basically for me. And then the developers were like, okay, but that's what you want. But the general audience is not going to receive this very well. This is not going to work. You think it's going to work, but it's not actually going to work. But then the higher ups were like, nope, this is the vision. This is what you need to do. And honestly, that reminds me a lot of 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙦 and a lot of what people were saying about that one, where, it seems like somebody higher up was like, this game is going to be an extraction shooter. It's going to be PvP and there's going to be some PvE, but the focus is going to be on PvE. So it needs to be balanced for that. And when a lot of people played it, a lot of people were like, this game would be so much better if it had a PvE mode. If you had the PvE, we would love this game if we could just do PvE and not have to worry about, people just ganking us out of nowhere with high level gear and stealing all our stuff. But, 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙦 seems to be doubling down and they're like, no, this is what the game is supposed to be. If you don't like it, don't play it, because it's not a game for you. And it's died. It's dying. It's losing a lot of fans. So yeah, so in another article, or maybe the same article, I'm not quite sure, there's been a few by Paul Tassi, but employees at Bungie have been described as morale being in a free fall across all departments as a result of this. People are just saying like, why are we even here anymore? Why are we even working on this game? This isn't working. And personally, I think that was evident in the live stream they did where they kind of addressed this issue. First of all, they at the very beginning, they kind of addressed the art issue. And then they moved on and they basically ignored it for the rest of the live stream, despite chat the whole time asking more questions. They just kind of ignored that and just kind of went on with what they were going to be doing. And also, watching the live stream, there were video and audio synchronization issues, where the person's mouth would not match what they were saying with what they were saying, and then the audio would come in maybe 2 seconds later. There were multiple cases of where the audio input would have weird delays, like it would be like I would be talking on my microphone and the guy next to me, his microphone was on, but for some reason, you would hear my voice loud and then you would hear my voice again in his microphone maybe like 2 seconds later. So there was this weird echo effect. The volume was inconsistent, very unprofessional. So it just seems like, it seems like people just don't care anymore. It's kind of sad. But yeah, and as a result, Bungie is now completely rethinking their marketing strategy. So they're saying, we were going to do an open beta, but now it might just become a roadmap of public playtests. So, the game maybe might get delayed, and yeah, we might just be doing these open playtests, public playtests, rather than, kind of a beta and then a release. So it's not looking good. It's not looking good. So
yeah, this always reminds me, it's as I've gotten back into corporate life in the last 4 years or so, I feel like so much in it doesn't matter, the industry is damaged by like poor vision of like, this is where the company is going to go, this is what we're going to do. I see this in the media, therefore I think everyone likes it because this is what I think. And without getting like a broad spectrum approach of like, hey, these people like these things, this person likes this, these people like these things. And the whole PvE stuff or PvP stuff is just crazy. Like there is so much PvP content out there, right? And then people sort of like, PvP is good for some people, right? Like you've got your Call of Duties, right? Those will always be the mainstay PvP games. But people want it like, okay, yes, I want to do PvE and PvP. You've got your extraction shooters where you can go in, like Arc Raiders is a big thing on YouTube at the moment. If you've been on there, you've seen this game. And then you've got the people like me, like a lot of people like my older brother, older gamers who I've spoken to, like, yeah, I don't play multiplayer anymore. You'll see this thread on Reddit all the time. Like, I've tried to get back into gaming, and I went and I played some Call of Duty because I played Call of Duty when I was 21 years old out of college, and I hated it. But now I've discovered gaming again because I played Untitled Goose Game, or I played whatever it is, right? And I'm like, oh yes, I like these games because there's less competition, it's more relaxed, it's a game I use, right? Warframe is a great example of a PvE game that has been around literally for over 10 years at the moment, because it started off PvE. They tried to do some PvP and it never took off. Like, Warframe is still a PvE game because Warframe players love PvE, love the action, love fighting against AI enemies. And it's fun. It's such a huge history. So I think this going PvP is just going to be the nail in the coffin for Marathon.
Yeah, I don't know if PvP is so much the issue as just the nature of extraction shooters, which could be extremely punishing. For example, like a lot of people have suggested with Sin Duality, at least, that you know, you should do PvE lobbies, but you should still, you know, you can still have PvP, and then the people who want to do that can. A lot of people enjoy PvP because it's a bigger challenge than, you know, typically PvE is, because, you know, you have real people behind the enemy rather than just some AI. So a lot of people do really enjoy that, but I think in the nature of extraction shooters especially, it is really tough, because if you're performing really, you know, you build up something, you get an item that you want, and you're really excited to show it off, and, you know, you get out there, and if you're good, you know, you just kind of, you know, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer in a way. You know, if you're really good at the game, you know, then you lose your good stuff, but you're good enough that you're probably going to find something else relatively quick. You're going to be able, you know, you have enough resources stocked up that you can build a new one, no big deal. But if you're not that great, you know, or mediocre, you know, if you're losing to these really, really good people quite often, you're not getting resources, and then you're not able to progress very easily. And so it's funny, because it's kind of the opposite model in a way of a lot of gacha games. You know, gacha games, the thing that they say is, you know, we can offer a game like Phantom X or Zenless Zone Zero or Genshin, and we can offer it for free because you have a lot of fish that are playing for free, and they're not making us any money, but they're keeping the game alive, they're keeping the game popular, and then the whales bring in the money because, you know, they're super into it. But then when you get something like an extraction shooter, you know, it's really fun for the whales, but then the fish aren't showing up because they're like, well, this, you know, I'm not making any progress, you know, or really, really slow. And so it's not appealing to the lower level players. And then your player base shrinks really small, and then the whales are like, well, now I don't have so many people to kill. So yeah, I think if you could do it in such a way that it was far less punishing for lower level, I say lower level, but I mean, like, you know, people like me, people who aren't, you know, super professional, good at these things. Like my friends and I, we play Helldivers, and we'll play Helldivers on high difficulty, and we die all the time, and we're like, yeah, you know, it's still fun, you know, because we're trying it, and we're trying these insane things. But it's because, you know, if we die, it's not a huge setback. We can just go into the next mission and we can try again, you know. But in an extraction shooter like this, you know, if we go in and we die, it's like, oh man, in the next one we're going to be at a disadvantage, and we were already at a disadvantage skill wise. So yeah, so I think a lot of times, you know, for instance, the Bungie devs or a lot of the fans of Sin Duality, they say, you know, give us a PvE mode so that we can have an alternative way to build ourselves up, and then we could hop over, and then if we lose all our stuff, you know, there's a consistent way to get it back. We're not just like scraping by all the time. So
No, yeah, totally agree with you. I just like, and I've hammered this point home a lot on this show, is I want value for my time when I game, for my 1 hour. Like, I don't want to die. I don't want to play this game like, oh my god, this is awesome, I killed all these things, I got this cool legendary gun, and 5 minutes before I'm about to finish this gaming session, I get killed and I lose all my stuff. That's not fun. That's not like, I don't need a challenge, right? Like, same like my friend Hans, who was playing Elden Ring, like, oh my God, all these Asian people are playing Elden Ring. I'm gonna play it too here in Taiwan. Played it, hated it, because he's like, man, I just want to play and be successful and have fun. So it's, I think a lot of developers, a lot of people higher up in big management are looking at games like Elden Ring, looking like at games that have this high skill cap, high difficulty cap. Like, okay, people want this. I'm like, yes, people do want this, but I will definitely say, you might assume 3 million people who played Elden Ring are the majority, and they're not, right? Like 3 million people out of 4 billion people is the active gamer population in the world. That's not a lot. So let's see what happens. I mean, do you think Marathon will come up? Like, if today, if I had to ask you, what is the chance of Marathon actually coming out?
If I had to predict, I don't know. For me, it's like 50-50. If they're struggling this hard right now, it might just get to the point. I think it really depends on if Bungie survives, it'll come out, I think. But the question is Bungie going to be, you know, like, is Bungie going to be around? Because, you know, with like, was it PlayStation's kind of been somewhat, you know, dropping the hammer on them, like, guys, come on, you guys haven't been keeping up with this, and they've alienated with a lot of the Destiny fans have been somewhat alienated by Marathon, both because the gameplay is so different, and then they came out and they said, if you want that Destiny type thing, this is not the game for you. And it looks like they are not continuing with Destiny. They're just gonna kind of, you know, it looks like it's, you know, they're not wrapping it up just yet, but it looks like, you know, there's not going to be a Destiny 3, and you know, it looks like they're going to be kind of refocusing more on this, and yeah, I don't know. It might be the kind of thing where if they are, you know, if they survive, I think they'll release it, but there is the possibility that this is just so much trouble that they just keep pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back, and they just run out of money. And that's that. So yeah, for me, it's kind of a 50-50 at this point.
Totally agree with you. I even think it's lower for me. I would say there's a good chance they shelve it, and Bungie's owned by Sony, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would imagine, given the way Sony's going, given the focus on profitability, the potential raising of prices of PS5s at the end of the year, I think any company sort of like look at the issues the trade war is causing. We need to focus profitability. Let's shelve this game. We'll take the $200 million as a tax write-off and make something else. So go back, maybe even go back and make a Destiny 3, perhaps. Okay, and on that note, Adam, I think let's go straight into your question.
All right.
Tell us about a soundtrack that you love. I gotta phrase this correctly because I don't want to. What game for you has the most impacting soundtrack? Yes.
Yeah, so like we were discussing before, probably, you know, most people probably think, oh yeah, Final Fantasy. But then of course there's so many. Like, how do you pick just one, right? But if I see like online on a forum or something, and people are like, oh, what's the best video game soundtrack? The top of my list, I always include Katamari first, especially the original Katamari Damacy and We Love Katamari. Those two soundtracks are just amazing. They're so good. Everybody should play Katamari just for the soundtrack, or alternatively, just listen to the soundtrack if you don't want to play the game. Because they are fantastic. So definitely Katamari, one of the top soundtracks of all time, in my opinion.
Perfect. And then I will round off today's show notes on a game that I saw that was trending. As you guys know, I always like to try and bring you guys games that are new or trending you might miss, because Steam is so full of games. I think almost every single store is just chock full of games. The good thing with the Switch 2 as well, and again, I'm not defending Nintendo or praising them, it's just they are going to do a lot better to sort of get rid of this like low effort games that are on the Switch 2 store, and so that you can get a lot of the nice indie games or games that should be shown or should be appreciated more are going to come through. Slowmancer is one of those games. So Slowmancer is really cool because it changes the theme of the game in a sense, and that hey, you're not the hero of this game, you're just an ordinary person. Get to choose three different classes, right? There's a lot of specialization as well. So there's loads of skills, loads of ways that you can replay this game because of the skill trees and the specialization. And each different class has its own skill tree. Dungeons are procedurally generated as well with difficulty scaling. So while you might play a game like me sometimes, I haven't replayed a game twice in a very long time, but you might start off with easy and like, okay, this was cool, and then replay a game at hard at a later date. We're like, okay, I love this game, I want to play it again. Lots of loot. The developer is also really good on Steam, where they're consistently updating the game, even though it's already out. They're like, okay, this is the roadmap for the rest of 2025, so you know what to expect. You know this game is not just, okay, let's release the game and let's move on to the next project, or let's update the game and just fix bugs without adding any new content. So definitely something to keep in mind. When I was researching for the story, there were about 7,800 players playing this game, which again doesn't sound like a lot, but for a newly released game on Steam, it's pretty good. Adam spoke about 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙦, right, which is a wonderful game. Again, less than 300 players on Steam. The Division 2, which is another PvE VP game on Ubisoft and on Steam anyway, again, less than 1,000 players. So with 7,800 players from an indie studio is actually pretty impressive. One thing I will say for people, because like my older brother is not a pixel art fan, so if you're not into pixel art, this is probably not the game for you. It is also really fast. If you watch the trailer, you'll see explosions and damage numbers everywhere. So that some of that stuff can be a bit overwhelming for people, so please keep that in mind. Build diversity as well. So again, I played Avowed and I was really interested in build diversity. Avowed's build diversity is not as great as it should have been, I think. Whereas this game, I think there's a lot of build diversity, a lot of ways you can build a warrior or build a mage or build an archer, and then do that for each different playthrough. And lastly, like, this game has been done by a small team. I think it's a 3-person team who came out with Slowmancer. So well worth it if you're looking for an RPG. Again, this is guaranteed to come out on the Switch too, I would say, at some point, if it's probably not already out on the Switch. A wonderful portable game. I've added it to my wish list. I'll probably play this on the Steam Deck in between the other 2 games I'm covering this year. And if you didn't know, I'm covering Near Mage, which is coming out in 8 days, so keep an eye out for that. I might upload it to the Mag channel, but it'll definitely be available on my channel as well. But yeah, what do you think about Slowmancer? Have you heard of it? Have you been following the developer? What do you think? Comment down below and let us know if you're going to play it. And that is it. Very good. Adam, how is Clair Obscur going?
It's pretty good. I think, very close to finishing. I've cleared, I think, every dungeon with the exception of I am on the optional boss Simon, which I don't know, maybe in English they say Simon. I don't. Apparently, I'm playing in French, and like the names are different in French than they are in English. For instance, one of the main characters in French, her name is Lune, and or Lune, and yeah, so that's what I'm calling her. And I've seen some people calling her that online, but I've seen some people calling her Lune, including her voice actress. So I'm kind of like, this name is definitely different in English and in French. And I'm playing it in French, so I'm using the French name. So if I do a video, I need to clarify. I'm not saying the name wrong. I'm saying it in the version I played. But yeah, in the French version, his name is definitely Simon. And so I'm on him. He's giving me a bit of trouble, but he's supposed to be the hardest boss in the game. And then after that, I think I've pretty much cleared. Oh, no, wait. I still have to do the final trial in the Endless Tower. So I still need to do that one. And then I think I've cleared everything except for the end of the game. So then I just finish the game and then I'm done. And then I'll probably play a second playthrough. But I think I'm mostly on the second playthrough. I think what I'm mostly going to do is just I'm just gonna beeline the main story. I'm just going to go straight to the main story. I don't think I'm going to go up the difficulty. If anything, I might even, just for the sake of time, because I just want to focus on the story, I might just go and put it on easier difficulty. Probably don't even have to, though, because I'll be so overpowered. So I'll probably just leave it on the same difficulty. But yeah, I think I'm just going to go through, because I've been recording everything so far. I probably have like almost 50 hours of footage, and I'm like, oh man, sifting through that for the story content, oh, that's gonna be a pain in the butt. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just re-record it, just the main content, and then that way it'll be a lot easier to filter through, and then I'll have all this extra stuff for B-roll that I can use whenever I want. So I think I'm gonna do that.
That's definitely the smarter choice. I mean, at some point, I think in our lifetime, you'll have a local AI which will be like, Mr. Gray, would you like me to pass the video footage for you and find the adequate B-roll segments? And then it'll just do that. That would be so awesome.
Well, I don't even need the B-roll. I could. That's easy to find. What's hard to find is the specific main story quest thing. What I really wish games did, Final Fantasy 14 kind of does this, and I understand it's probably not a super high in demand feature, but given the usage of YouTube and how big it's been with content creation, I would really love a game to be like, okay, after you beat the game, once it's done, you get theater mode, and theater mode just does the main story stuff, or you can just go through and just watch the whole story back to back to back, and then cut out all the extra content. I understand your average person would never use that, but it would be helpful for people who want to make content. But then again, I think your average person probably doesn't use photo mode either, but it is super useful, and a lot of people make good use of it. So I think that would be really cool. Final Fantasy 14, like I said, kind of has something like that, where you can go, if you go to the end, there's like a book, and it's like your story so far, and any kind of cutscenes that you've unlocked, you can go back and watch them again, and that sort of thing. And now they have also have the ability to go back and replay, set your quest progression back to older quests and replay that. So that's really, really cool. But yeah, so I will probably just go straight through and just record the story segments. So
sounds like a plan. I'm looking forward to watching that video, for sure. Especially, I think hopefully I'll watch it, and then after 2 or 3 years later, when Clear Obscure becomes super easy, I'll pay a minimal price and I'll give it a try. I'm like, okay, I can deal with this QTE stuff. And we'll see.
Yeah, there are builds that you can do that make it much simpler. Like somebody, like I said, there was somebody who said, I beat the game without parrying once.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yes.
Yeah, you can. It's a bit slow, but yeah.
Nice. All right, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. As you know, we've talked about Stellar Blade today. Keep in mind that the week of Stellar Blade's release, that we're going to be releasing Stellar Blade, or I should say, I'm going to try and find some new shorts that'll just be on that week. I'm trying to promote some of the Stellar Blade videos beyond the main one that did really well. Adam, I think you did 2 other videos, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I did 2. I think I only did the 2. I did the original Stellar Blade kind of story follow through, and then I did one on Mother Sphere, but that one didn't get so many views. So
yeah, so I mean that's why I think it might be something to re-promote that week, but we'll see. What do you guys think about today's stories? Let us know, and then we'll see you next week. Take care.